I wanted to leave them with, the moral of the whole 9-minute speech was, be somebody worth dying for, because so many have died.
When they came out with them, we saw them, thought they were pretty neat. So we closed Charlotte Avenue one night, about 6 o'clock in the evening. It got dark in the winter, and we closed the road off, made a detour.
We had a hedge in front of the house.
No, you don't need to tell that one either.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Jim Cripps here with the Charge Forward podcast, and I have a special treat for you today. I have my uncle, John Cripps, and my dad, James Cripps. Welcome, guys.
Afternoon.
How are we doing today?
Good.
Wonderful. It's a wonderful day.
That's right. Now, obviously, both of you grew up here in Nashville, just not too far away from here, right?
In the nations.
In the nations, off Tennessee or Alabama?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, okay. And went to Catholic school out of the gate, right?
St. Anne's, Father Ryan, finished up Hume Fogg. Johnny went a different direction.
I went to St. Anne's, West Junior, Hume Fogg.
Okay, all right. So both of you finished up at Hume Fogg. And, both of you obviously can work on just about anything. But you went neck deep, and one of you went in metal, the other one went in wood.
Yeah.
And so, John, I remember from as early as I can remember, you worked in tool and die.
Right, exactly.
And, give me an idea. Like, what? I know you worked at Parthenon for a long time, Bridgestone.
I worked in various machine shops. The first one I worked at was custom tool and die. A neighbor of mine said he'd give me a job when I got old enough, and he did. I was actually driving a company truck to Franklin back when I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
That kept me out of the military, occupational deferment. We had a military contract, so I hung around and built parts for bombs and missiles for a few years.
Yeah.
And several machine shops after that.
Yeah. And then long stint at Parthenon.
Yeah, 20 years total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that went to Bridgestone?
A couple of places between there and Bridgestone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then a long time at Bridgestone after that.
12 years at Bridgestone. Yeah. For Cumberland Machine in Bridgestone.
Yeah. That partnership.
Yes.
And then some fun stuff with Marathon.
Yeah, that's my hobby job, and after I retired, before I retired actually, I started fooling around with Marathon. My best friend and neighbor Barry Walker owns Marathon Village in Nashville, and the cars are very rare. I get to drive the cars, I maintain the cars. I've got a shop down there that I work out of, and it's a fun job.
Yeah. Well, and both of you are big into car shows and tinkering these days. So what does that look like? What's the car show scene look like?
So I stay busy. I go to several, a couple out of state every year. Go to Rattoberfest in Paducah, Kentucky is a big one. We go stay 2 or 3 days. I've mostly got rat rods, some custom cars, but mostly rat rods is what I deal in. Older cars is what I enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then same kind of era, but Dad's more on the resto mod side. And you just got a new one.
Yeah, I did. I got a 68 Chevelle convertible, dream car, something I've always wanted. It just had to get old enough for me to afford. But the thing about it is, that's like a rat chasing his tail. When that car came out, it was about $2,900. Now it's $40,000. So, it's hard to wait for times to catch up with you.
That's right. Well, if we go back, I can remember as a kid, Dad, you talking about the 396 Chevelle when it came out. And I can remember 2 things specifically, Uncle Johnny. I remember I think you left the car in the parking lot going around in circles while you went in to get something to eat.
Yes, I did. I drove a 40 Chevrolet. I gave $35 for. It had daisy flower stickers all over it. Everybody at school called it Flower Power. Had plenty of room. It had suicide doors, a big old long car. I gave everybody rides to school and back. Everybody had later model 57 Chevrolets and stuff, and we'd go to Shoney's parking lot out at Harding Mall. We'd go across the road, and I'd actually turn the wheel all the way to the left. It was so worn out it would hang turning, and pull the throttle out and actually get out and watch it do circles in the parking lot. Quite an experience.
Yeah. And then I think at some point you tried to make your own lift kit out of 2x4s on a Bronco or
a 57 Chevrolet station wagon.
Okay.
I jacked it up and drove 2x4s in leaf springs and shackles to lift the back end up. That's what I done.
I bet it rode real good.
That was my budget.
That was 2x4 was the budget.
I wasn't worried about how it rode.
That's right.
It looked cool though.
That's right. And then, fast forward, I mean, really, as I was a kid, Dad put me on a motorcycle pretty early. And I remember coming over to your house. Dad was on his Kawasaki 175, and you were on a big red four-wheeler. I mean, big red three-wheeler.
Three-wheeler, right.
And me looking off the edge of the power lines going, no, that's not for me. And you guys just tearing it up.
Yeah.
So, I kind of look at, both of you've had incredible health scares in the last 12 months. Well, I guess last 18 months. I can remember sitting by your bedside in ICU and doctors saying it's game over. If you got anything to say, you need to go ahead and say it. And then Dad, just since your last visit here, 60 days ago, nearly crossing over and not being with us anymore, and coming in here on a wheelchair today.
Too close for comfort.
Too close for comfort, but at the same time, I think it shows, some of it is just right time, right place, and then some of it is just you guys are just tough as hell. Like
I don't know about that.
The Grim Reapers over there just going like, damn, they're hard to kill.
It would have killed an ordinary man.
That's right.
That's what I say as a joke. Okay.
You just have to go through it, pick yourself up, shake it off, see what you got left.
Yeah.
Use what you got left.
That's
because you don't know how long you're going to have that much.
Yeah. Well, if we go all the way back 25 plus years ago, the day of your 48th birthday, it's lucky that it was your birthday party because you're over there singing and playing the harmonica, and luckily Uncle Johnny was there and decided to break a few speed limit rules in order to get you to the hospital.
Funny part about that is Johnny gave me the ride of my life that night. I remember one cross road, we went airborne. There was a cop waiting on the other side, and he couldn't catch us. Stopped us at the next red light. And I think, John, you told him either escort us or leave us alone or something like that. But the hell of it is, we got ready to come over here today. Johnny ain't riding with me. He called me last night. He said, okay, we'll go in your Chevelle, but I'm driving. I said, the hell you are. Ain't riding with him either.
That's right.
Yeah, that's bad.
Well, from a driving standpoint, one of the other things that I remember from a long way back is, in your 40s, you were ranked as a four-wheeler racer. Exactly.
Yes.
And these days it would just a lot of people wouldn't even fathom that. I think of it right now. I'm in my 40s, and I feel like I'm in pretty decent shape, but I don't know that I'd want to ride. What was Blackwater? 100 miles?
100 miles. Toughest race in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I went with you to that in '93.
You did?
And, just watching the race, I was filthy, much less racing in it.
It's just fun. Not clean fun, but fun.
Yeah. And these days, not only are you into cars, but into razors and off-roading.
Right.
And had a little racing part of that, too.
Right.
Who was it that you rode with?
John Barnes.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you had an interesting finish line situation a couple years ago.
Yeah, we were doing 70 mile an hour on an uphill and topped the hill and went 70 foot in the air and flipped 3 times, end over end, and broke 3 ribs and passed the guy that passed us while we were flipping and actually ended up on the podium in the race. We're done pretty good.
And so, how old were you when you were in that race and broke 3 ribs?
69 years old.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, not what most 69-year-olds are doing on a Saturday.
I think I was the oldest guy there.
Watching or racing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you guys both, you just don't give up. And it's just not in your spirit. And,
No, it's not.
So out there right now, somebody's, it could be brothers or siblings or somebody here growing up in Nashville or some other place, and they got no idea what they want to be. They got no idea what opportunities are out there. And what would you tell them? Somebody, they're a teenager. They're about to try to figure out if they're headed to college or getting a job or.
I would tell them to look real hard at what they want to do the rest of their lives and with their lives. If they want to get into racing, start hanging around the people that do that. If they want to get into drywall, start hanging around people and get a job doing that. If you want to go in business, go in to a field that's a business you're wanting to get in and learn it from the bottom up, and then make the jump and do it. It's more opportunity out there now than it ever has been, I think.
Yeah.
It really is.
Dad, what about you?
I don't know. You're talking about giving up and quitting. And I'm sitting here thinking, what's the signal? At what point do you actually decide it's time to quit or give up? Or I think I'll just sit around the house from now on. If that's the case, why even go on? Why get out of the bed in the morning?
Right.
I don't know what quitting looks like yet. Not looking forward to it, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a difference maker because so many people out there are looking for comfort, meaning they want to sit down, they want to take it easy. And the reality is if you sit down and you take it easy, at some point that's all you're going to be able to do. And you'll lose the ability to go out there and do something.
Well, don't put it past me to drag up a stool and sit down. But if I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about what I want to do next. If I run out of the will or the physical ability to do something, there's always something else. You just, you don't stop, you just slide into something else. Get interested in life because there's plenty of things in life don't require a lot of brains, don't require a lot of physical ability. There's always something out there. Get interested in people and life and in doing things. Remain proud.
Yeah. Well, I think of even what you do now, helping other veterans with their claims. It's not like you set out for that to be a thing.
Oh, I didn't. I stumbled into it. The very first thing is I fell into that hole on my own. I tried to figure out how to dig myself out of that hole. And in digging myself out of that hole, I found out how to dig other veterans out of the hole. And I still help veterans. That's a daily thing. My phone rings off the wall. A lot of people depend on me. I've learned the ins and outs. I have a website, VA the Redneck Way. I write these things down, how how to go about winning your veterans claims and coping with the disabilities, trying to help other veterans out. There are hundreds of thousands out there who need help, but yet you look at it, we're only 1% of the population.
Well, I mean, it even came up yesterday. In fact, I missed a call during my last podcast with a friend of mine whose dad had no idea anything about benefits, had no idea about any of that. In fact, I asked what his VA rating, disability rating was, and he said he couldn't remember what it was. And I said, well, if you tell me how much your monthly check is from VA, I can get pretty close. And he said, well, I don't get a check from VA. So, well, then you don't have a disability rating. It's 0.
You know, this is something like if the federal government told you when you're 96 years old, we're going to tell you that you could have drawn Social Security when you were 65.
Yeah.
Suck it up.
Right.
You know.
Shame on you for not knowing is kind of what their stance
exactly.
is.
So trying to get the word out, you know, it took me 40 years to ever figure it out that the VA may owe me something. And not only that, your medical care.
Right.
You know, we're exposed, veterans exposed to all kind of toxins, and those toxins are costly on your health. The ones who outlive it, manage to outlive it, like me at almost 76 now, we finally got our medical care. The ones that didn't outlive it never knew they had medical care coming. So for me, it was a bite, and for those guys, it was a fatal bite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, for all the things that have kind of happened negatively because of your military experience, you know, there are also some pretty good stories from some times y'all had too. One that comes to mind that I remember y'all telling as a kid is, I think there was a New Year's Eve party where y'all got a Jeep stuck that resulted in 3 or 4 or 5 different wreckers getting stuck.
Yes, we did. What was it, John? 5 wreckers, 6?
5 wreckers, a Jeep, a Bronco.
This was on New Year's night, 1968, I think.
Yes.
I forget the reason, but John had come down to visit me. I was a military game warden. John had come down over Christmas to visit, and I got a call New Year's night, and there was a several day rain. It was wet, cold. We had to go over like a mountain, and there was a tree down, so we had to reverse our course. And we came to one bank where it was beached going in and beached coming out. Well, when we came back, it was beached going in and a bluff to climb when you came out. We hit that bluff and bounced backwards, and the Bronco, the clutch got wet. There we sat. I know we went downstream 5 miles, busting out beaver dams, trying to lower the water. Finally, we just picked up the radio, abandoned the Bronco, walked back to my office, and started calling wreckers. I called for a 20-ton tactical. They said a 5-ton commercial. He didn't make it. He went off in the swamp, so we crawled out of the swamp. And we get back to where we get a radio signal, and I called for another one. They sent a 10-ton commercial. Off in the swamp we go again. We went in the swamp about 5 times that night. Ended up, we just left everybody in the swamps. Went back the next morning in my Jeep, and there were Chinook helicopters hooked to those wreckers, sucking in the mud, trying to pull those wreckers out of the mud. We went over the mountain in my Jeep, came out right in front of the Bronco, pulled the Jeep out of the water, dried the clutch off, and went back to sleep.
Meanwhile, they're out there pulling up.
They're out there with Chinook helicopters. Yeah, that was.
In the meanwhile, I drove the Jeep back, followed him in a Bronco. I'm 15 years old with no license on a military base, scared to death. I'm going to go to jail.
That sounds about right.
It was.
He followed me to work one morning, and we parked in a parking lot across from the motor pool. I said, "You follow me to my office. When I come out of there, I'm going to be driving a green sedan." Every sedan that came out of there was a green sedan.
Right.
He followed the first one out. I had to put a all points bulletin out for him.
All MPs on me.
MPs finally stopped him.
I was scared to death again I was going to go to jail. Probably the best story was the dog, though.
Oh, don't even mention that one.
That was horrible.
Yeah, I got a call. Dog on post in the house and area, and that's a no-no. Well, I had to pick up a dart gun. It was a 32 gauge shotgun that shot darts.
Mm-hmm.
And you load the dart by how many pounds the animal was. You had a whole kit, anywhere from 2.5, 3 pounds, different bottles plummet up to 285 pounds. So you sight the dog or cat, and then you load up according to the weight. Well, I never saw a dog that weighed less than 285 pounds. So I loaded up the dart, and we pull up in the housing area, and the dog wagged his tail. I said, "Well, nothing wrong with that dog. I'll go get that dog. We'll carry him over to the vet." Well, I just happened to carry my shotgun with me, the dart-loaded shotgun, and the dog lunged at me. When he did, I just swung around and fired. Well, the dart hit the dog in the neck, and he ran under the barracks, and he was squalling, and he was hollering. And the guy run out, great big sergeant. He said, "Did you shoot my dog?" John said, "No, sir. I think that guy over there did."
I wasn't supposed to be there.
Right.
So the guy comes over and he said, "I'm going to catch you with that out sometime with that 45 off of your hip." Well, the dog shut up, and I crawled under there, brought the dog out. I couldn't find that dart. I made spaghetti out of that dog, and I still couldn't find that dart. So I carried him over, put him in the incinerator, and the vet gave me a improvised dart with a little blood on it, kind of saved me there. But I did honestly shoot the dog with a dart. I don't know what happened to the dart, but I've never forgiven John for telling on me.
Well, the man's wife was on the second story of the barracks throwing cans of dog food, and a bag of dog food hit me in the head with it.
Well, I wasn't hungry.
You know.
Well, then y'all used to hunt in Fort Campbell, too, after you got out of the military.
We did.
And I think there was a story, maybe it was Jack. Somebody had a boat on the top of a Volkswagen, and let's just say his securing method was not ideal, and it slid down over the side while you were going down the highway or something of that nature.
No, that was I had an Oldsmobile 442, and I saved up my money and put a silver metal flake paint job on it, like $600, which is like $10,000 now.
Yeah.
And we were going Cheatham Dam, and Jack didn't tie his side of the boat right, and we went on a curve, and the boat jumped off the top of the car, stayed tight on my side, and was 50 mile an hour down the road with the boat running beside us, bouncing up and down, tearing my paint job up. I mean, that was real exciting.
Yeah, I guess so.
But at Fort Campbell, we did donate a deer to a guy one day.
Yeah.
We put a deer on a guy's car that he didn't have any luck getting a deer, so we gave him a deer while he was hunting. He probably had a surprise when he got back.
That's right.
We did dot the I on a deer sign while we were down there.
Well, yeah, we did, yeah.
I heard a shot go off and I heard something go boom. John shot the deer sign.
I actually shot at a deer. I was up in a big peach tree with a lot of limbs on the side of the road, and I could see a curve in the road and a bridge, and a deer across the road, and there was a sign that said, 5-ton bridge, and I actually shot the deer and shot the sign too.
Anybody that can't tell a deer sign from a deer, I ain't going hunting with them no more.
Yeah,
But y'all have spent a lot of time in the woods.
a lot of time.
You know, one of the things that I always found humorous is, you know, we would go different places, whether it be, you know, back then you had to draw for the hunts. And so, you know, Catoosa or Cheatham, a lot of wildlife areas. And you two have the innate ability to get out of the car and go in opposite directions and somehow or another run into each other.
Yes.
Just about every time we hunted.
We'd go opposite directions, and I'd go 5 miles and run into him somewhere in the middle of nowhere. So I got him where he would let me out of the truck 2 miles before we was going where we was going, and it might be raining or snowing, and about 10 o'clock I'd start walking, looking for deer if I hadn't seen any, and he'd do the same, and we'd meet up somewhere. I'd hear somebody shoot and look and see him going down a hill to get a deer.
Right.
And we're supposed to be 2-3 miles apart. We just had the ability to find each other somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I ever got lost in the woods or hurt, if you could take John out and turn him loose like you would a bloodhound,
I'd have been a good dog.
it wouldn't be long.
Right.
He'd find me.
What do you think is the best story you got from growing up? Either one of you.
I don't know.
I don't know. We had some pretty good ones. We had a routine when we were 10 years old. We had a boat. We had it tied up to an actual ship in the mouth of Richland Creek on the Cumberland River. We acquired the boat. I guess you could have called it acquired. It was. They used it at a pumping station in a rock quarry. And we found out that we could actually, with enough of us, pick that boat up and carry it up those rocks and put it over in the river. We'd paddle 2-3 miles to Cox's Island and back. We also had a cement mixer over in a creek that we used as a boat. Paddled it with brooms. We hopped trains. That's how we had bicycles. And we lay our bicycles along the tracks. We knew what time the trains came, and we knew where we were going. We'd hop a train. We could go swimming out at Cascade, hop off the train. We'd get back on another train, going on out to Faro Fiberglass, get in their dumpsters, and get the big marbles to shoot in our flippers. Get back on the train, ride back to Danesco, get in their dumpster and get shoe tongs for our flippers.
Yep.
Stop by the service station, go right back to the service station, get old inner tubes for rubber. And we would actually kill rabbits and squirrels with those flippers. We got good at them.
Yeah.
What about you, John? What was your...
I guess I had as much fun riding bicycles. All we had was junk bicycles made out of parts. That's where I learned to start working on things and turning wrenches. And we'd get on our bicycles. We'd start on Saturday morning. Of course, we lived in West Nashville. We'd ride to Hendersonville and back, Goodlettsville and back, halfway to Dixon. We went everywhere on bicycles and done everything you could do on bicycles. One of our favorite things, a friend of mine, Bubba Neely, and I, we used to go down to Cleese's Ferry, ride down the ferry ramp, and go off into the Cumberland River. We'd talk Jakey Keaton, which was a ferry attendant, and let us ride the ferry across the river. We'd get halfway across the river and ride off the ramp to the ferry boat into the river. We'd tie a rope on our bicycles where we could swim back to the ferry and get our bicycle and drag it back to the bank. But riding bicycles, I guess, was a big thing. We went everywhere.
Yeah.
Nashville, all of Nashville was our backyard.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but back then, White Bridge Road was the end of town.
It was in the country.
It was a
And it was-
two-lane road.
And it was gravel. Or everything past that was gravel.
Yeah.
I can't remember it being gravel, but I can remember it being just a little bitty narrow road with no shoulders. And my grandmother and granddaddy happened to live on White Bridge Road. They lived at 181. And like I say, that was out in the country when they lived on White Bridge Road. We would visit them. They had chickens. One memory about Easter, my granddad went to the post office, and there was a sign. There were crates there piled up with a sign on it. Chickens, 1,000 chickens. No such address. Pay the postage and they're yours. Well, he paid the postage, and he brought those 1,000 chicks home. And he had an airplane nose that he put them in his basement. Had lights in there. I can remember the little chicks running in and out of where the props go into the nose.
Mm-hmm.
And they were dying so quick. He had a coal scuttle, and they had coal-fired furnace heat. And he was shoveling those chickens into the fire, and the whole neighborhood smelled like chicken. Smelled good.
Fried chicken.
Yeah, it did. And this was before Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, it was.
That's right.
But anyway, 52 of those chickens lived.
52 out of 1,000.
52 out of 1,000.
Yeah, it was
And
so
they-
cold they were dying.
Yeah, they got chilled.
But they had a good set of chickens, I guess.
Yeah.
After that.
And then there was a guy lived down the road. We'd all get on our bicycles, sometimes 8, 10, 12 of us. And we would load those bicycles down. We had fishing poles, we had frog gigs, we had a skillet, we had loaves of bread, we had everything that we needed. And we would stop by Frank's hen house, raid his hen house, and get eggs. And we'd build us a fire and use our skillets. And we would cook fish, catch fish, frog legs, and eggs. Had a time on the Harpeth River. We'd pedal down. We'd stay a night, 2 nights on the gravel bars. Just good, clean fun. Never hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Never got hurt.
And you were, what, 10, 12 years old?
8 to 12.
8 to 12?
Yeah.
And then, John, you're how many years younger than?
3.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, fast forward a little bit, not too much later, then Robert comes in the picture, right?
Yeah, poor Robert. He was a guinea pig. We were riding bicycles, big, long, tall hill. Had a big curve in it, 90-degree curve.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you got to our house, you went straight up a bank. Well, we've decided we need to be a little braver. So we took our handlebars off. Everybody had to leave their handlebars in the ditch. Go to the top of the hill, and we would race down that hill, around that curve, hit that bank, and jump up into the front yard. Well, we wore a rut in that hill. Poor Robert comes out and he said, "What are y'all doing?" First thing came into my mind, I said, "We're riding our bicycles backwards down that hill." Robert said, "Well, if y'all can do that, I can do that too."
He did.
That didn't end up too good.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, then, big times down at the farm, and then on y'all's properties too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, when I got out of the service, I brought home some contraband. I brought home about 10 parachute flares. They're a really, really powerful flare that you shoot up into the air, and they come down on a parachute.
Mm-hmm.
They're made to light up the battlefield.
Right.
Also brought home some hand grenades. And I had thrown many a hand grenade But it was all in training areas and wide open areas, and so I was standing out by the car one morning. Mom was standing beside me. I said, "Hey, Mom, what's this?" And I pitched one of those hand grenades. Well, I ain't never heard a hand grenade go off in a neighborhood, neither had anybody else. It shook the whole neighborhood. The guy next door was a body and fender man. He came running out of his shop. By then, Mom and I had run in the house, but the smoke had hovered up around the transformer. He called the electric company and told them their transformer blew up. We took the rest of those things down to the farm and blew up the pig house and smoke house, and we had a time with those grenades. If we'd got caught with those, we'd still be in jail.
That's right.
We would.
The parachute flares, no matter how harmless they seemed, they came back down and set all the grass on fire.
Yeah, they're
We
hot.
had about 10 grass fires going at once. So, not a good idea.
But I remember Granddaddy stopped by the house one time and stopped in the shop, was talking for a few minutes, and then casually said, "Did you set the bank on fire outside?"
Oh, yeah, it did that. Burnt all the woods. Well, we had 35 acres. It was as clean as desert. But we didn't have any idea things were burning. By the time he finally saw it and came in and said something about it, everything was burnt, everything was gone. No grass, no trees.
Oh yeah. But good times. That was a scary one.
That was a scary one.
Yeah. What about down at the farm? Besides the hand grenades, what do you think is a good story from down there?
Well, there was a lake down there. We enjoyed fishing down there. John and I went down one morning going deer hunting. And you'd have to understand, Bill was from up north. He wanted to be a southern boy, wanted to be a farmer. So he saved his money. He was a steam fitter with the union.
Mm-hmm.
He saved his money, and when he retired, he bought a farm. And we went down to hunt one morning. We were going deer hunting. Bill was sitting there eating breakfast. He had eggs and something else. I said, "What are you eating, Bill?" He said, "Pheasant." I said, "Bill, where'd you get pheasant?" He said, "Oh, I killed it out back." I go out there and me and Johnny go out there and look at one of those big red-headed woodpeckers.
Yeah,
Its feathers were all over the back porch. Then, Bill decided he wanted a horse. So he goes and buys Big Red. We go look at Big Red, and the guy walks up to Big Red, touches him on the leg. Big Red bows down in the front. The guy climbs on him. He touches him on the leg again. Big Red stands up. They ride him around the field. They come back, and he said, "Would you like to ride Big Red?" Bill said, "Yeah." So Bill touches him on the leg. He goes down in the front, comes back up. They ride around a little bit. Wasn't exactly a gallop. It was hang on for dear life. But anyway, we load him on the trailer, get him back to the farm, turn him loose. 5 years later, they still ain't caught Big Red yet. I think John caught him one time. What happened, John?
I caught him, rode him one time, and he was just as gentle as you'd want him to be.
Mm-hmm.
I rode him for maybe an hour all around the pastures, up in the wood, trails, up down the road. I brought him back. I tied his bridle to the fence beside the house there to a gate. And Susie wanted to ride him, sister. She came out there and she got ready to get on him, and he stomped his foot or something, and she jumped and he jumped, and he snatched the fence off the hinges, and it hit him in the side, and he tore out down through 80-acre pasture fast as he go, with a fence going over his back, hitting him on the back. It took me 3 hours to catch him and cut the gate off of him with a knife, just cut his bridle. Finally got it off, and that was the end. You couldn't get near him ever again to ride him. That was the end of getting close to that horse.
Yeah. I bet.
Yeah, it really scared him.
Well, Bill run an ad in the paper for the horse. Some guy comes riding up. He said, "Where is your horse?" Bill said, "He's out there in the pasture. I can't catch him." The guy whistles. "Here comes Big Red." Walks right up beside him. Guy touches him on the leg. Big Red goes down the front end. He gets on him, rides him around, pays Bill, loads him on the trailer. That's the end of Big Red.
I love it. Well, and one of the things I remember as a kid, I guess I don't know how old I would have been, young, is swimming in our lake at the house. And was it Robert that held on, like got afraid and didn't let go of the swing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then came back and swung into the tree?
Yeah, we had a tire swing on a cable. We were swinging out and dropping off in the lake. Robert wanted to try it. I don't guess he'd ever done that. And he was afraid to turn loose. And he came back and slammed that tree and broke about 3 ribs.
He did.
But we'd go down on, we had a little building down there, we called it the Hoochie. Sometimes there'd be 10 or 12 people staying at the Hoochie overnight. The lake was right outside the door. Me and John were farming back then. We'd carry about 12, 15 watermelons down, throw them in the lake, let them be cool, and spend a night down there. Go deer hunting in the wintertime, go swimming in the summertime. We had some good times down there.
Oh, yeah.
Sure did.
I shot
did.
through the roof one time.
I don't know how do you know.
Scared everybody to death.
How you know it was through the roof? We never did find a hole.
Well, the gun was pointed up and I was inside.
Yeah.
Came in from deer hunting. I unloaded my gun and I stood it in the corner behind the door. We had identical guns. And a little while later, he comes in and he takes my gun, lays it on the bed, and sets his gun in the corner. I come in there a little while later, and I knew I had my gun unloaded. And I just picked it up and I ended sealing it and going to go click and put it in the case. I didn't want to leave, with the springs get weak.
Right.
And I went, boom. And I'm like, how did that happen?
I don't know if that's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
But that's the story.
I think he was just checking to see if the safety was on, and it wasn't.
Might have been.
Yeah.
Might have been. Well, I remember the first time I drove a 5-speed. Or it wasn't a 5-speed, it was a 4-speed. So, I learned to drive. I mean, obviously, riding motorcycles, but first time in the car, I used to drive back. Dad had the paint contract for what is now Lifeway Christian Resources. It used to be the Baptist Sunday School Board. And he'd pull over at the end of the road, and then later he'd pull over in National City, and I'd drive home at 8 or 9 years old. And then when I guess I was about 10 or 12, you let me borrow your dune buggy.
Yeah, Volkswagen, yeah.
And the battery was dead on it, so it had to be jumped off.
Right.
And I remember you unloaded it in the field, and y'all gave it a push as I was in the front seat, and you yelled, "Pop the clutch in second." And as I popped that clutch, I realized I had never driven a manual shift vehicle before.
Yeah.
And Dad yelled, "Don't let it die." And so that was how I learned to drive a manual.
That's how you do it. It's the best way to learn.
And then both of you have you can fix just about anything. But I remember this. So if you're running what is just a Volkswagen with the front end cut out and the back end.
Volkswagen with the front end cut off.
Yep. So if you're riding that, it is inevitable you are going to bend a tie rod.
Right.
And so I remember this was about day 3. I bent a tie rod, and Dad said, "Well, you got to unbolt it, take it off of there, and go put it on the press, and get it back straight, and then go put it back on." And so I did that, and I guess the next weekend or so, you came down. You were riding, and I was riding, and it wasn't 10 minutes, and we bent the tie rod again.
Right.
And I said, "Well, I'll go get the tools. And you said, what are you getting tools for? And I don't remember if it was a 2x4 or a piece of metal or whatever. You put something in there, bent it back, and we were back riding in 5 minutes.
Right.
And I think it just shows that both of you know how to fix things. And then kind of depends on the situation.
It does.
In that, in the first scenario, it's sitting there, it's right beside the shop.
Right.
In the other scenario, we're in the woods and we just bent the tie rod.
Right.
Both of them are the correct answer based on where you are in the situation.
Depending on where you are and what you got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I remember, so the day I brought it back to you, there was a bunch of people over at your place.
Right.
And somebody said something about taking the bug across the pond.
Yeah.
And you said, well, we're going to run up behind on the other side of the road real quick. And you told me on the way over there, you said, now we're going to hit this hill, and when we land, I got to cut the wheels all the way to the left because we got to go around a tree. We're going to land right in front of the tree.
Right.
And I remember it like it was yesterday. We hit that tree in the air, so we went a little too far.
Yeah.
And the seat broke loose. And so my seat went through the floor of that Volkswagen.
Thought it done killed you.
Well, and then on the way back, and again, I remember this again just like it was yesterday. We're on the way back, and the strap that was on the front end of the hood broke, and the hood flew up. And without skipping a beat, you just looked through the hole where the radio was,
right,
in order to get us off the side of the road.
Do what you got to do. Yeah.
Do what you got to do.
Sure enough.
So that's fun. Well, that was a long time ago. What's the most fun you've had recently?
I have fun every day.
Yeah.
We ride razors, climb big hills, everything with them, unimaginable. We don't ride them like most people. It's hard for me to get somebody to ride with me. They all want out in a few minutes. I took a boy and girl that came over from Sweden riding a couple of days ago, and I think it kind of scared them. They were laughing the whole time, but they were kind of scared. But they wanted to do it again. Mm-hmm. It's just I do fun things.
Yeah. Dad, how would you describe Johnny's ability to ride/race?
I ain't getting ridden in one with him again.
Well, I can't get anybody to get in a razor. I got a Corvette. I want nobody to get in a Corvette. Nobody ride my truck with me. But I can get people to ride in my ghost car.
There you go.
Which should be scary because I drive it in the back seat and you can't see out. But people will actually get in there and ride with me.
Yeah.
So, I have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
It's pretty unique.
One of the things I like about, the two of you is both of you know, without a shadow of a doubt, if, the proverbial shit hits the fan, you can call each other and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, we usually figure it out.
There's one thing that I ain't never been able to figure out, but it don't need any figuring out. I got the best brother in the world. I wouldn't trade him for anything. But we can't work together for 5 minutes.
No.
Without somebody threatening somebody. I swear, I don't know how it happens, but, he's got to be the boss and I got to be the boss, and it just don't work.
Well, but I think it's interesting then that y'all have figured out how to work through that in that, so let's just say it's a metal project. You'll get it to a certain extent and then drop it off for Johnny to finish up or whatever. And then vice versa, if it's in your area expertise, he'll lean on you to take care of it.
Or you just say, can you fix this? Or the best way to do it, say, I bet you can't fix this.
Yeah.
And then just shut up.
Well, then you also have a rule that if you need a part off of something, you have to take the whole thing.
Got to take the whole thing.
So there's a McCullough.
That's a rule.
There's a McCullough chainsaw that I think has been passed back and forth a good 10 times.
Well, that started out with a snapper lawnmower. John comes over and he said, "You still got that old snapper lawnmower up on the hill?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I need that little part so and so." I said, "You got to take the whole thing." But yeah, we don't ever throw anything away.
Well, he came to my house and needed something, and I had an old recliner set out there that I drug out and fixing to carry the dump. And I said, "You can have it, but you got to carry the recliner." And the recliner went back and forth before the chainsaw, and I don't know what happened to the recliner. It made several trips in the truck, and it was heavy. It was hard to load. And then the chainsaw episode, and I don't know whatever happened to the chain. And here in the later years, it was actually a toilet seat. Not many years ago, a couple of years ago. You know anything about the toilet seat?
I remember hearing about the toilet seat. I don't remember the story.
We went to a Thanksgiving party outside of Gallatin at some kin people's in-laws. And it was, you carry a gag gift wrapped up, and you draw names. And I actually got a bundle of notebook, a bundle of paper. I knew what it was without opening it, and my aunt got a toilet seat. So I traded her for the toilet seat, and then you could give your gift away. Mm-hmm. So I made him take the toilet seat. He opened it up, toilet seat. It was a new one. And he threw it in the trash before he left. Mm-hmm. And I saw him leave, and so I got it out of the trash, and I put it in his car the next time we had to get together. But it started getting a little dirty and a little stain and stuff just from being in the garbage cans. So it didn't look real good after that. And I don't know, how did you get the toilet seat last time? UPS, FedEx?
I don't know, but I think you actually used it and then gave it back.
I think last time, I shipped it last time to his house.
I thought what did you do with it?
Shipped it.
Oh, I thought so.
Is that what you thought I said or something else?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know what's become of the toilet seat now. I hope it's gone.
I think it's at your house.
No, it's not at my house. But I know where they sell them.
There is actually a use for a toilet seat.
Yeah, it's a use.
You take that thing and you put it over your head and you open it up and you got a tray right there about even, wouldn't you?
About years ago on the lake, I had a place on the lake. He had a place on the lake, and I built a cabin, and he had a place. A couple miles from each other, and I decided to put up a mailbox. Mm-hmm. I started me a checking account in Waverly, Tennessee, and I more or less moved down there so I could do business, and I put up a mailbox. He said, "I'm not going to put up a mailbox." I said, "Well, I might get a big check in the mail." So I put up my mailbox, and I wrote myself out a check on my personal checking account for $1 million, and I signed it, and I put it in an envelope, and I mailed it to myself. So the next Saturday, we're fishing. We got through fishing. We're going over to my place about noon. I said, "Looks like I got some mail." Pulled it out, check, $1 million. Look here, I got a check for $1 million. Let me see that. $1 million. And then he figured it out. Well, the next week, I got 3 rolls of toilet paper in the mail. I got some butt itching cream in the mail, some corn cobs in the mail. I got stuff in the mail for 6 months. So then I started going, and every time I saw a bulletin board in a shopping mall or a store, I'd get these papers, fill out for insurance, fill out for a free sample, fill out somebody come see you, medical products. He finally put up a mailbox. It was full of junk mail for 6 months.
I believe that.
Yep.
Then we come in from fishing once. He said, "Let me check my mail on the way in." Got out, had a little box in there. I wonder what this is. Somebody sent me something. Opened it up and it was bud cream.
Well, that worked pretty good on mosquito bites, especially on your nose.
I ain't never had a mosquito bite me there.
Well, and so shellcracker fishing was a big thing.
Oh, it was.
And obviously Harry Horner was a big part of that.
He was great, yeah.
And really, it's kind of his fault that everybody ended up with a place down there.
Yeah, really, yeah, because he bought a place and I bought a place, and it just kind of caught on. And those were some excellent years. It's wonderful. We had some wonderful times down there.
Called Harry. I said, "You catch anything?" He said, "Yeah, I got 200. I said, "Well, I got about 200. I said, "I'll come on over. We'll clean them together." I get over there, and he's got about 8 fish cleaners sitting there. They're all cleaning fish. He said, "Have a seat. You want a beer?" I said, "Yeah, I'll take a beer." He said, "In that refrigerator over there." Hell, I should have known better. The refrigerator sitting outside. His refrigerator had gone out with fish in it, and then you talk about stink.
Been sitting there a year.
I opened that refrigerator like knocked me down. I think Harry's still laughing.
Mm-hmm. He probably is.
You know, he was going to build that pontoon boat, and he took the rails off of it, everything, going to make a duck hunting boat or something, and it had a porta potty sitting on it. I come through there one Saturday, knocked on the door, he wasn't home, but I used his porta potty before I left.
On his pontoon.
One of my favorite things, though, he's talking about seeing coyotes down there. And he said he ran over a coyote on his way in at the first house on the corner there. And I come through here, and sure enough, there's a coyote laying there when I was leaving. It's about noon. So I said, you know, I told him earlier, I said, I forget her name, the old lady down there. I said, that's her German Shepherd you ran over, not a coyote. No, I know it's a coyote. I said, no, that was her dog. She was out there looking for it. So all the way back through, I stopped and I took my belt off and cut it off shorter, and I put it on that coyote. And I told him, I said, next time you go through there, you get out and look. It's a dog. It's got a collar on.
Oh, my goodness. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
We had some good times down on the lake.
Yeah.
Really did.
We did. Every weekend we'd go down.
Now, you had an interesting one. I don't know that anybody listening would know that you can hit an air bubble with a boat in the water.
You can sink a boat.
So you're tooling along. Thank goodness on your pontoon boat.
Right.
Could have been any other type of boat. It'd have sunk
it would
right
have
there.
sunk, yeah. I was going to cross about a city block behind a towboat, and this towboat was turning, and I didn't know their props create big air bubbles underwater. This air bubble was big as an elevator, or bigger than a car, and I hit this air bubble, and the front end of the boat went like 5 foot on the boat. 21-foot boat stood straight up, and took about 2 minutes to come back up and resurface, even though it wasn't going to sink. It bent the front rails on the boat, bent the sheet metal in. It done a lot of damage to the boat. And then I got to asking around and talking to people and telling them what happened, and I'd heard other cases of this happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of scary.
Yeah, well, like I say, if it had been any other type of boat, it'd have sank it right there.
Right. It would have.
You just got lucky in that it being a pontoon.
Exactly.
But that's also what blew the sides off of it.
Yeah.
Because the water's got to get out.
Yeah, it tore it up. Yeah.
Well, what have y'all ever come across anything you couldn't fix?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of boat motors.
Yeah.
A lot of them didn't want to fix.
A timer on a washing machine.
Timer on a washing machine.
After taking it apart and putting it back together about 7 or 8 times, I finally spied that big old lug that goes to 220. And I told Sandra, I said, watch this. And I took a big screwdriver, run down and hit that thing and ground it. That washing machine went poof. And I said, now, you can't be fixed.
That's right. Ain't that the truth?
Well, actually, I'll tell you about the lawnmower. You're part of this and didn't know it.
Uh-oh.
You've never heard this story. You gave me a lawnmower.
Yeah.
A Murray garden tractor, a pretty nice one to carry down to my fish camp.
The green machine.
No, this was a red one. This is before the green machine. I took it down there, and I had it down there one season and mowed with it, and it done just fine. I went the next year, and it had a rear tire blew out on a rock. So I went the next week, and the grass was higher. I put a new tire on it, and the second week, the belt broke. And I put a belt on it, and the third time, they still had mowed my yard. The gas line broke. All the gas ran out. I didn't have any more gas or another gas line. Then a front tire blew out, and then the battery busted, and then the battery cable burned in two. And for the whole season that year, I actually cut my whole yard with a weed eater, which was miserable.
Right.
And the next year I went down there, and the throttle cable hung up and broke. And then the cable going to the clutch or whatever, something else broke, the gear shifter. And I fooled with it, and I fooled with it, and I fooled with it. And I passed a guy on Clyde Road down there had a snapper for sale, and I believe in snappers. They're great mowers. Brand new looking one. So I bought the snapper and put it in the truck. I brought it up and unloaded, and the Murray was sitting behind the house. And I looked at the Murray and I said, man, I have spent more money on this thing, and I fixed it, and I fixed it, and I fixed it. Man, as long as it's sitting there, I'm going to keep fixing it probably. And I went and got a shotgun. I went there and shot it right in the gas tank. And I said, I know I won't fix it now.
Yeah.
And that was the end of it.
And I bet I caught more fish that year than he did.
Because he's working on a lawnmower.
He worked on a lawnmower.
Yeah. He had to go down to the driveway and quit running, and I'd get Christian to pull me back up the driveway in a truck.
Yeah.
Several times I pulled it back up the driveway to the barn to work on it. Starter went out on it. Flywheel cracked on it. Unusual things. Just, It was jinxed. Now I know why you gave it to me.
So he drills a well.
Uh-oh.
And this well is how deep?
140 feet.
140 feet well.
Yeah. It was a good well.
So he calls me and he said, boy, I sure would like to put that pipe in that well, but it's storming and raining. I said, well, we'll go down and spend a night, maybe to quit tomorrow. Well, I had a van, so we took my van. We put the pipe and the pump and everything we needed in the van. We go down. We're sitting there about midnight listening to the radio out on the deck watching it rain. John says, I sure would like to get that pump in. I said, well, let's put it in. I said, we can back the truck, the van, right up to it. And you can stand behind the van and you can guide the pump down, and I'll get in the middle of the circle, the coil on the inside of the pipe, and I'll start turning that coil where to go around and around and around me, and you lower it down, and ain't neither one of us gonna get too wet. So he gets out, he starts it down the well. I'm sitting in there in the middle of the coil, and it's going around and around and around and going down and down and down. Well, we didn't think about it, but there was a cork stapled in the end of that pipe. And it's just going down. It's building pressure in the end of the pipe. So I twisted around, and all at once something goes, pow! Johnny grabs his hind end, and he said, what in the hell did you do that for?
They shot me in the butt.
Yep.
Nobody else around.
Right.
Dark, raining.
I hear this cork ricocheting up through the woods. It took us a minute to figure out what happened.
See staples sticking out of the end of the pipe, and we got to thinking, we used that kind of pipe before, and it comes with a plug in it to keep the dirt out. It hurt.
I bet it did.
Left a big, well, yeah, I mean, it was like...
Didn't bother me a bit.
It wasn't as much as a shotgun, but a lot harder than a BB gun, and I've got shot by them plenty of times in my life. We used to have BB gun wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, BB gun wars, hedge-apple wars, rock fights.
Firecrackers.
I guess one of my best stories to tell. Not a good ending, but Tom Sawyer didn't have anything on us at all. I could write a book and people wouldn't believe it. Church up on the hill behind where we lived, and they were adding on a church, and they had a big backhoe up there, huge backhoe, about as big as they get. Guy run over a piece of rebar and cut a hole in the tire, and it went flat. Well, a tire truck come out there and changed the tire and left that tire laying there. Well, there's a Sailor Williams. He was a old guy, great big guy, cussed a lot, drank a lot. He'd run outside of his yard, and he had a chicken house behind his house on the side of the hill. So we're going to get this tire up with some poles, and we're going to roll it down the hill.
It was full of ice.
And it was going to go down the hill and jump 2 ditches. It's a curve in the road, but it was going to go down the hill and jump the road and wipe his chicken house out. We got it up, and it started down there, and when it got to the ditch, it hit the ditch, jumped up middle of the road, and turned 90 degrees and went straight down the road to White Ridge Road off that hill where Brook Hollow Church is.
Yep.
They had just built a 2-story apartment complex. Apartments were new in Nashville. Didn't have condos or anything, and it was a 2-story upper-end apartment complex, probably 40 units. And old man Gant that ran the hobby shop had a brand new Chrysler Imperial like a 56 or something, had the little lanterns hanging on the back over the fence, and had a drive-out tag in the one, in fact.
Had a spare tire mounted on the back.
Oh, yeah.
This tire went across White Bridge Road with people blowing the horns, just like you see in the movies, hit this car, went up the back of the car, over the roof, caved the trunk in, broke all the windows, hit the side of the DeVille apartments, and went halfway through the brick wall into somebody's apartment. Of course, we were out of there.
Right. We ran home, changed clothes, took a bath, turned the TV on.
Yeah.
Well, you know, another one that sticks out for me is the Indian.
Oh, yeah, we had an Indian. We had a pet Indian. I'll let him tell that, and he's in charge of the Indian. It was his Indian, actually.
Kind of reminds me of the book, The Indian in the Cupboard.
Right.
So they're building Beacon Square. It's a subdivision down on the Cumberland River. We're on our bicycles down there investigating, you know, a bunch of cars parked down there and people standing all around doing a bunch of nothing. And so we go down on our bicycles and we investigate. So we find out that they were digging some foundations down there, and they started hitting Indian graves. And these Indian graves were about, I don't know, 12 to 18 inches deep. And they lined the bottoms of them with rock, and then stood rock up on the side, put the Indian in there, crossed their arms, covered them with rock. And they had, looked like seismographs or something, you know, they walking along looking for these Indian graves, and they're from the colleges, archaeology teams. So we get to watching what they're doing, and we figure, well, you know, we could go home and take the axle out from under our wagon and sharpen one end of it and get a hammer and come back. And if we put that thing in the ground enough times, we bound to hit a Indian grave. So we come back and we get down in the corner away from other people. We start pounding that thing in the ground. We start hitting Indian graves. We heard if you dug up an Indian that had a tomahawk, you'd get rich. So we'd dig one up and uncover him. He's laying there, you know, just like he just went to sleep.
It's just bones, though. It wasn't
just
right.
Bones. We'd start pounding the ground again. We're looking for another one. He didn't handle it. He was poor Indian. He was like we are. So we dug up, what, 6, 8? It's in the book.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's in a book, yeah.
Anyway, the last one we dug up, we got tired of pounding that thing in the ground, not getting any tomahawks. So the last one, I picked up a colonial bread bag, put all them bones and teeth and everything in a colonial bread bag, hung him over my handlebars and took him home, put him in my dresser drawer. Every once in a while, I'd take him apart, air on the floor, put him together, and take him apart, put him back in the bag. When I joined the Army, Mama finally carried him outside and reburied him. But yeah, later on, John worked with a guy who was telling him about them building Beacon Square and digging up Indians, and he said there was a book. We had pictures. We took some pictures.
I still got pictures, yeah.
Yeah. And the guy brought the book to Johnny, and it had where all the graves were and which college dug them. And then there were about 6 or 8 graves down in the bottom that said unknown diggers.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't unknown. They were
I
just
know who they
unknown
were.
by some.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that was the Indian in the cupboard.
There you go.
We grew up fairly poor.
Yeah.
We didn't have toys. We had to make our own, amuse ourselves, I guess, a lot of it. I tell you one thing, I remember when we wasn't very old, we lived in a house on Pennsylvania Avenue, and it had 10-foot ceilings, and you could see through the side of the house. Dad would come home on Saturday and bring hot dogs and double colas. That was our biggest treat in life. So on Saturday night, we'd have hot dogs and double colas. And one cold night, Mom forgot and left the double colas on the kitchen table. Before daylight, they froze and busted.
Inside the house.
Inside the house. We had like 5 army blankets on each bed. No heat whatsoever in the house after dark. Dad would let the fire go out because he'd afraid the house would catch on fire. It was pretty cold.
Yeah, you'd run, jump in bed, pull the cover up over your head.
Well, my sisters, they slept in one bed, and we slept in a bed in the big room in the back of the house.
Oh, I was hoping you wasn't going to tell that part.
And it's so cold. I mean, it's freezing and snowy weather and everything else. It was cold back then. You know, I was born in the blizzard of 1951, and Mama didn't think I was going to survive. She kept me in blankets with them over my head for 3 months. You know, I didn't even see daylight. Had an operation when I was 2 days old and took me a year to walk, you know.
I don't guess I knew that.
Oh, yeah. You had the same operation, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it's circumcision.
It took me a year to walk.
That's right.
Boy, they operate on the wrong thing.
But it's so cold, you know. And Dad did build a bathroom we had an outhouse, and Dad did build a bathroom on the back of the house, but you had to go out of our room in the cold and out through the kitchen on the back porch, across a long back porch into the bathroom, and it had no heat. So we'd have to shortcut. We'd have to go pee off the back porch, and then as it got colder, one of us decided it's about as easy to jump up and run over in my sister's bed and pee on the bed and hop back in the bed, and they got blamed for it several times, and they didn't know they wasn't.
We'd lay there, act like we sleep, watch my sister get up. She couldn't figure it out. We didn't tell her no different till we got too old to whip us.
Was this Susie or is this Ann?
Both of them in the bed.
Right.
We go over and just pee on them. We'd hop back in the bed, and they'd wake up, and they'd blame it on each other and arguing about it. And we'd smiling going back to sleep.
Our bed was dry.
Yeah, it was high and dry.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
But we had a unusual childhood, I guess. I mean, people don't have the chance to grow up like we did, I don't think, today. The opportunity's not there. We used to go down the road when they was working on the road and get the smudge pots and go drop them in the creek off the bridge, stuff like that. We closed Charlotte Avenue. What did we close Charlotte Avenue for? We closed the road.
I don't know, built a fire in the middle of it.
Well, we got some of them horses with them flashers. When they came out with them, we saw them, thought they were pretty neat. So we closed Charlotte Avenue one night. About 6 o'clock in the evening, it got dark in the winter, and we closed the road off. Made a detour.
We had a hedge in front of the house.
No, you don't need to tell that one either.
We get Mama's pocketbook, tie a string to it, throw it out in the middle of the road, hide behind that hedge. People come to a screaming halt, get out, run over there. When they bent over, we'd snatch that purse back.
They got throwing rocks, cars, bling, bling.
What do you mean they?
You and Ann, I was a little bitty guy. I picked up half brick through it and hit a guy's trunk in a convertible. He stopped and got out and chased us.
Just all in good, clean fun.
Yeah, good, clean fun, yeah.
One of them caught us one night. He jumped over that hedge and grabbed 3 of us at one time. All in unison, we said, "She ain't home."
Well, then I remember fishing was a big thing. I mean, not even go back further than down at in Waverly at Turkey Creek, but Granddaddy fished a lot, and so y'all both bought bass boats in the 80s.
Yeah.
We weren't too successful at fishing until Johnny grew up where he wouldn't eat the worm, so he'd eat the bait.
Well, and I remember I threw a whole cricket cage full of crickets in the water.
Minus one cricket.
Minus one cricket.
Minus one cricket. Wow.
We found that cricket cage years later when we drained that lake.
That's right. So, somebody out there's raising kids right now. What advice would you give them?
know, nowadays it's different than when we grew up. When we grew up, you know, cell phones, videos, and video games, and you want to say take those away from them.
Mm-hmm.
But how would you do that? Without creating a monster, how would you do that? Because you're taking a cell phone away from a kid or denying video games when that's how the world is now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got to realize that we're living in your generation and Castle's generation. We've outlived our generation. I guess that's, how would you look at it if Castle got on his bicycle and pedaled down to the Cumberland River and stole the boat?
I'm in agreement. You know, it's a constant battle.
We didn't really steal it. We knew where it was all the time.
Right.
Didn't carry it back either.
Till we sold it.
You sold it.
But you see what I'm talking about.
I do.
Everybody has to live in their own age, and society determines your activity, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I think nowadays a lot of people don't set their children up. They set them up for failure. When you're growing up, when we got so old, we're going to leave the nest, make our own living, make our own way, and depend on ourselves. That's instilled in you when you're small.
We never planned on not working.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, that you always knew you were going to work. The girls knew they were going to marry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's as far as you could see. When you went to work, that was your future. When you got married, that was your future. Now, not so much, because when you there's too much welfare,
Mm-hmm.
too much living off the system, too much give me.
It's that entitlement.
Yeah. Too much marriage is not forever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's hard, though, when you realize the things that happen to a child. I failed the first grade and had to go to summer school.
Mm-hmm.
I had a teacher, I couldn't say my phonics right, so I had to go to summer school. And then the second grade, I had a lay teacher. It wasn't a nun in the Catholic school. And Mom was highly intelligent, and she messed with us a lot. And when I went to first grade, I could do my ABCs and cursive writing. So I go to school, and they're having me print my ABCs. And in the second grade, we started cursive writing. And this lay teacher came by with this big triangle ruler a foot long, and she almost broke my hand. She hit me with it and said, "You're not going to write with your left hand." I was left-handed. Mm-hmm. And I could write pretty good. I could do some words. And every time I picked my pencil up, she'd hit me with that. And I'd go home, and of course I'd tell Mom, and Mom, like, with the Catholics, you didn't cross the Catholic nuns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were God, okay, and close to it. And I got to the point where I know I'm going to school, I'm going to get hit with this ruler, so I'm just sitting there not doing a thing.
Yeah.
I'm daydreaming. And of course then, she'd put me in a coat room, which I went across the back of the classroom, had 2 doors, and turn out the light. She'd move my desk in the coat room. And I kind of liked that, because everybody that went to school but me had a good lunch. Mm-hmm. I had a bread sandwich or one piece of bread with butter on it, rolled over. And so I'd go in the coat room, man, I'd find me some cookies and find me something to drink and find me a couple of if somebody had 2 sandwiches, I got one. If they had 4 cookies, I got 2. So, man, I'd hear her coming, I'd turn the light back out. And so through the 5th grade, I made D's and F's is all I made. Mm-hmm. That was the reason. And a lot of people can set their children back just with something simple and not realize it.
Yeah.
And you see people go just beat the fire their kids and abuse them, and that makes me sick. And that's a lot of problems today. But they can set their kids up for failure real easy.
Well, you don't really know what the downstream effects are, and at the same time, you also can't dwell on that because then you'll never do anything.
Right.
And so you're trying to balance it, between, and, luckily I had a great childhood in that, grew up riding dirt bikes and all those things. Did have a teacher very similar to your teacher along the way, and but then had some great teachers that really helped me out. But I do think it's with kids these days, you're trying to look at what is going on around you and trying to shore up against the things that you think are going to be the biggest challenges in the future.
Yeah, you've got to try to give them the tools to survive nowadays. I think nowadays they have to fight to survive a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of competition.
Well, but one of the things I see, I spoke at the high school just 2 weeks ago, and they're all just as lazy. I mean, there were a couple that had a little bit of fire, and I think they'll dominate. Because
they will, and they deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you got a little bit of fight,
that grows.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're lazy, that grows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you got to get up. And a lot of these people that don't have the raising for it, when they get 20, 25 years, they're going to have to look around them and say, hey, there's more to this life than what I'm doing. I got to stand up and do something. And that's up to them. Not everybody. I see people every day that didn't have a chance at anything, that have their own businesses, that are wealthy, that are happy, and that comes from inside you.
Well, I think you two are absolutely, prove that.
We're more or less successful. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I consider myself successful.
Well, in your fields, I mean, let's think about it. So if we're talking about metal, or if we're talking about, even the things you do at Marathon, it's not something other people can do. It's a very skilled craft.
Yes, it is.
And then Dad, the furniture that he built, there wasn't anybody locally that was even remotely competition. These days, there's not even anybody building that type of work, at least not around here.
Right.
And it's not like anybody showed you. It's not like anybody. It's not like you had an advantage over anybody. You had to decide to do it for yourself.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah. But a lot of people don't have that in them, and it's not their fault. So I don't look and point my finger at people. I try to help who I can, and but I try not to find fault in people, because you never know.
Yeah, you never know what they've been through. You never know what kind of walls they've hit.
Exactly.
Phil Lane. So Phil's grandson.
Yeah.
Plays basketball with Castle.
Right.
And so Carson, his dad and I coached their basketball team. This was probably 3 years ago.
Right.
And Carson had a temper that would just explode, to the point where there was one game where I had to go chase after Carson. I told Brian, I was like, you can't handle this. You need to stay back out here on the floor. And then I got back there in April, so Carson's mom, I had to get through her first because she was so mad.
Right.
And I told him, I said, here's the thing. You can't teach a kid to have that fire to want to win. They either have it or they don't.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's young. So teach him to control it. Teach him to get a hold of his emotions, and that'll be more powerful. Don't try not that they were beating him or anything, but don't try to beat the fire out of him. And that kid now, I mean, light years. I mean, these days he gets called for a foul or something, he just laughs it off because he's got a hold of it. But he's got that fire. He wants that ball. And I think there's just so many kids these days that either their parents have given it to them or there's been no expectation for them to go get it, that they don't have the fire.
Yeah, that's right.
What do you think, Dad?
Exactly right.
I think a lot to do with our success. I'm talking about all four of us, siblings, is we were sort of left alone to decide what we wanted to do.
Right.
You might call it self-made. We weren't micromanaged. when we got up in the morning, if we felt like it, we ate breakfast, usually a bowl of cereal, and we left out of the house.
Yeah.
We were expected to be home at dark when Dad got home. Other than that, we picked and chose and decided what our day was going to be like, pursued our dreams, and did what we wanted to.
Right.
I can't say that we ever hurt anybody,
No.
except for the guy you shot in the butt with a BB gun.
That hurt him for a little while.
Meter readers shouldn't be treated like that.
Well, a meter reader that's obese shouldn't be leaning over the water meter when I'm up in the top of a maple tree with a BB gun.
Well, it should have been a hickory tree or something like that. It should have been.
Yeah, it should have been a different tree and it wouldn't have happened, right?
But anyway, I'm not going to say we weren't mischievous, but we never hurt anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You never heard of somebody pulling a knife or, I guess the worst thing I ever come across was Flo. We were having head apple fights, and Floyd's lighter was out, and he was filling up his Zippo, and this old boy was standing there cussing him. And he'd lunge at him every once in a while, and Floyd would take that lighter fluid can and go psst, and squirt him with it. Well, the old boy just kept it up. When Floyd got the lighter where it'd strike, he just threw it at him. Old boy went, whoo. Took six of us pissing to put him out.
Well,
But
he kept pushing.
nobody really got hurt.
Yeah.
We had a lot of competition.
Now, if we hadn't had to pee, things might have been different.
That's right.
We didn't have a lot of friends, 2 or 3 friends each probably growing up.
But the thing about that is, when we left there, everybody left as friends.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of competition between each other. Not friends, not peers, not the law or anybody. You know, if he done something, if he threw a baseball and threw a basketball hoop 2 times in a row, I want to do it 3 times.
Yeah.
I do it 3 times, he does it 5 times. And you know, if he got a bicycle, I wanted a bicycle. Built him out of junk parts. He put a steering wheel on his bicycle and radio on it one time, so I was looking for me a steering wheel. The whole time I was growing up, even when we got grown, if he got a 4-wheel drive truck, I wanted a 4-wheel drive truck. But we got it by hard work, by working 2 jobs day and night. We strive to do better and have something. And we did have something eventually.
Yeah.
Took a long time.
Well, but nobody gave it to you. It was fought for.
We didn't grow up with anybody giving us anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all worked for, hard work.
Well, you know, I'm thankful because I know you both, and you know, I know no matter what I could possibly ever want or need, I could pick up the phone and if it was in your ability, you'd be there and be, or to help me try to figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what's next?
What's next? I'm going to continue to help veterans. I gave a speech yesterday, day before yesterday, in an elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed over the years 2 things. You never could hear the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to be heard. I made sure that when I got up there, I grabbed that microphone, took it out of its holder, and I held it close like it should be held.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked if anybody in that building could not hear me, then please raise their hand. And I never know what I'm going to speak on. I don't write anything down. I don't try to remember anything. It just comes. If I ever get to that point where it don't just flow, then I guess I'll have to quit speaking. But that speech was 9 minutes and something long. I had from 10 to 15 minutes. I didn't want to wear out my welcome. I took a sixth of a time that was allotted for the program. But all the while I'm making the speech, I'm thinking, there's a master sergeant sitting right there. He's superior to me, or was at one time, and I still give him his
Respect.
There are teachers there. There are students this big, and there are students this big. I wanted to have something for everybody. So I said, you know, there's a time for peace and there's a time for war. And you got to recognize when it's time to fight. Don't be late. Be vigilant. Recognize when it's time to fight. And when it's time to fight, I'm talking about fight like you were the third monkey to arrive at Noah's Ark. And the gangplank's going away and it's beginning to rain.
That's right.
You got to do something. All the monkey generations from you on down are looking at you. You got to do something. You got to make a move. You got to get in there and start swinging. And that's the kind of fighting I'm talking about. So all of these students, man, that woke them up. And then what I wanted to leave them with, the moral of the whole 9-minute speech was, be somebody worth dying for, because so many have died.
Yeah. To give you this opportunity to do whatever you're going to do.
Yeah, and you know, I've lost some of my body parts, my feelings in my hands and my feet, my kidneys, my heart, and now I'm standing here looking at you and how you thrived. You know, is it worth it? Well, sure it is. How did I get such a good deal? You know, and I'll continue to do that so long as I live.
Yeah.
You know, I love the United States of America. I love my opportunities. I love my freedom. I love your freedom.
Absolutely.
So I'll continue to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John?
I'm just going to continue today what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I enjoy life. I'm helping bring history back to Nashville, and it's what I enjoy doing.
And so what's the latest project there at Marathon?
Well, we're restoring the building round back, the biggest part of the building. We've put up a lot of new columns and iron fence, and several projects going on.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, that showroom is as close to the way it was when those cars were new as y'all could reasonably put it back.
Well, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Is all I can tell you there. I've never seen any pictures of the original. I think so.
And then how many cars has he been able to get back?
I think 6 out of 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he owns the original factory in Jackson too, right?
Yes. Original Marathon factory started in Jackson, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Sure did.
That's good.
Long history to all of that, a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, John, Dad, thanks so much for coming in. Thanks for storytelling with me today. It's been fun. It's been an amazing. I'm 46 years old, and my earliest memories of y'all telling stories. Like I said before, probably the earliest ones are the 396 Chevelle when it came out. And then y'all both talking about your car that had the steering wheel that would lock
Yeah.
going around in circles in the parking lot while y'all were inside. So it's been fun, and looking forward to more stories, and looking forward to just all the things that we do as a family. So
Appreciate you having us.
absolutely.
Well, I just like to add too, talking about marathon. I'm about this big in marathon, and Barry Walker, the man that brought it all back, he's 100% of the credit for everything at marathon.
Yeah.
I just try to follow a little bit in his footsteps.
His mission, but at the same time, a lot of things
Yeah.
that have happened he couldn't do without you.
Yeah.
So, well, and again, both of you and Barry too. It's and several of the other ones we've talked about, Harry and Robert. Everybody, they picked their line and they stuck to it, and they did good things, and
Yeah.
we're all better for having known them. So.
No man, it's an island.
That's right. And so to everybody that couldn't be here, and those that we've outlived, I hope you enjoyed the stories, and so continue to tune in for other amazing guests and other stories as we walk through those. Again, until next time, this is the Charge Forward Podcast. Take care.